Everybody talks about financial freedom, but here's the truth. Most people can't tell you how much money they actually need in order to quit their job. They throw out random numbers like $10,000 a month or 100 doors. But when you really break it down, most people are closer to financial freedom than they actually think. So in this video, I'm going to help you figure out your real freedom number, the exact amount of cash flow you need in order to buy back your time. And I'm going to show you how a few simple rental deals can make this happen way faster than you think. Let's get into it. What's going on, everybody? It's Jamel Gibbs, your family-oriented entrepreneur. Welcome to another video. So look, when I first started investing in real estate, I told myself when I start making $10,000 a month in passive cash flow, then I'll feel free. Sounds familiar? The problem is that number wasn't based on reality. It was based on fear. I was adding cushion after cushion after cushion thinking I needed a mountain of money before I can breathe. But when I finally sat down and actually ran the numbers, I realized I was chasing the wrong goal. The goal wasn't $10,000 a month. It was just enough to cover my life. So let's do the same thing for you. Let's find out what your real number is. Now, usually when people hear financial freedom, they picture Lamborghinis and palm trees. But real freedom is not about luxury, it's about control. Freedom, in my opinion, means you wake up and decide what you want to do with your day and not your boss. And you don't need to replace your entire income. All you need to do is just replace your expenses and add a safety cushion. Here's what I mean. Let's say your family needs $5,000 a month. It covers the mortgage, the groceries, the car payments, and everything else that you spend money on. All you got to do is add 20% on top of that. And that extra 20% is your cushion. So if you add 20% on top of $5,000, that's an extra $1,000 a month, which leaves you at $6,000. That's your freedom number. So again, let's go ahead and illustrate what that actually looks like. Let's say that you have monthly expenses that equate to $5,000 a month. And let's say occasionally you have additional expenses on top of that you don't necessarily account for. What you want to do is create a cushion for yourself. And that's where that additional 10 to 20% comes into play. You want to make sure that you have that cushion on top of your monthly expenses in order to create your real freedom number. So in this case, what you would do is you would take $5,000, multiply it by 20%. What does that leave you with? That leaves you with an additional $1,000 per month. So in this case, you add the $1,000 to the $5,000, and now your new freedom number is $6,000 per month. And once your passive income hits that number, you're working because you want to, not because you have to. Now, another thing I wanted to show you was the average monthly expenses for a household in the United States. So whether you're a single person or you're a family, it doesn't really matter. I just wanted to show you the average because you might be thinking to yourself, Jamel, I wish my bills were $5,000 a month, or I don't spend $5,000 a month. So let's just take an average number and we can find out what that average is by going to Google and finding out what the household average is for a family in America. So let's just type in average household expenses for a family in the US on a monthly basis. And you can see the average American household spends approximately $6,440 per month on expenses. So that includes everything from housing, which is about $2,120 per month, transportation, about $1,000 a month, personal insurance and pension, $728. You got $487 for healthcare, $778 for food. I wish. I'm spending a lot more than that. I got 5 kids and a wife. Entertainment, $288. Cash contributions, $229. And then you'll have your own personal stuff going on as well. But that equates to about $6,440 per month. In our examples, we're using $5,000. But obviously, you want to adjust that based on your number. The key, though, is to know your freedom number. And once you have that freedom number, how do you actually get to the freedom number in passive cash flow? So here's the simple formula that I use with every single student that I coach that want to build cash flow and be free every single month. We take the monthly expenses and we add the safety net, which can be 10 to 20%, and that equals the freedom number. So let's say, for example, your expenses are $4,200 a month. What you would do is add $800 to that number or cushion. That's a total of $5,000 a month in order for you to be free. Now, how do we actually get to the $5,000 a month? Well, when we think about the average cash flow per rental, we're looking at $400 to $600 per door. So that can be a total of 8 to 12 doors or 3 to 5 creative finance deals that offer higher cash flow. Now, I want to be very clear about something. $400 to $600 per door is exceptional on a rental property. Your average industry standards is usually around $100 to $200 per door. Now, that was the industry standard 25 years ago when I first started in this business. Since then, things have changed and cash flow has increased. So when I'm looking at a rental property, I'm personally looking for rentals where I can make at least $300 to $500 per door. If I can't make at least $300, I'm probably going to look for other deals or renegotiate the number on the deal that I have on my desk. But again, $300 to $500 per door is generally what I'm looking for. In exceptional cases, you will be able to get that $400 to $600, but it really depends on multiple circumstances. You got to be in the right area. You got to make sure the rental demand is there. You got to make sure that you're paying the right price for the property, and so on and so forth. But it is achievable. I've had clients who've done a lot better, and I've had clients who've done worse. In fact, I'm going to talk about one of the clients who've done a lot better than that on his first creative finance deal, which is another key factor. How are you buying the property? Are you putting down any money? This is all going to affect the cash flow that you're looking at on a property. So again, $400 to $600 per door is achievable, but I wanted to be very clear. I personally look for $300 to $500 per door. Industry standard is $100 to $200 per door. And everything that we're talking about in this video needs to be adjusted accordingly. So for some of you, it may be that 3 to 5 rental properties that you need. For some of you, it may be 8 to 10. For some of you, it may be 15 to 20. Again, you got to adjust the numbers based on your freedom number and what your market provides for you rental wise. And that's really it. You don't need 100 houses. You might just be 3 deals away. Now let's talk about how to actually get there. There's 3 main paths that most people can take in order to get to $5,000 a month in cash flow. The first path is to start by lowering your expenses while increasing your cash flow at the same time. This is called house hacking. And the way it works is you rent out part of your home and you live in part of your home while most, if not all, of your mortgage is being covered by that rent. And in my opinion, this is one of the easiest ways to taste some of that financial freedom while quitting your job. Now, once you get started house hacking, the next step is small multi-unit properties, duplexes, triplexes, quads, properties just like that. You double or even triple your income per property while keeping management simple. Now, instead of $500 a month in cash flow from one house, you make $1,500 a month from the same deal. And once you get your first multi-unit out of the way, the next step is creative financing. We're talking about lease options, seller financing, and subject to deals. These types of deals, in my opinion, are wealth multipliers. Why? Because they let you get into high cash flowing properties with little to no money out of pocket. And as you can imagine, this obviously speeds up your freedom journey. You don't need to wait a certain amount of years to save up enough money to put down on a property, not on these types of deals. This is how everyday investors are building consistent income with no risk, no stress, just creative moves. In fact, one of my coaching clients in Indianapolis got his first creative finance deal. He bought a $200,000 house for $103,000. The couple were getting a divorce. He was able to take over their mortgage subject to, and now he's receiving $800 a month in pure cash flow on his first creative finance deal. That's a killer deal right there. So he got close to $100,000 in equity plus $800 a month in positive cash flow. How would that type of deal add to your freedom number? So here's what I want you to do tonight. I want you to sit down and list out all of your expenses that you receive every single month, your entire lifestyle. And then I want you to find your number. When you finally see it on paper, you're going to realize that freedom is not a fantasy. All it is math. And if you want to get some one-on-one help achieving that financial freedom number, be sure to visit dealprocoaching.com. And if you found value in this video, be sure to like it, subscribe, click the notification bell, and leave a comment in the comment section. Let us know what your freedom number is. And we'll see you guys on the next one. Take care.